Welcome to the Daily Pulse for August 18, 2026. Influence networks increasingly rely on a shared mechanism of orchestrated opacity to disguise power. This covers the articles followed on the state, a curated selection, not a comprehensive record of everything that happened. How many stories fall under any one theme reflects what was followed, not how common it is in the world. The flood of synthetic media in the public square creates an immediate crisis of attribution. Prism News recently suspended over 200 AI-generated pseudo-local news sites following reports of fabricated content and plagiarism. In California, the outlet Local News Matters exposed a pink slime network using local news branding and social media ads to push partisan narratives ahead of the 2026 election. These entities distort public feedback loops. Tech Policy Press warns that AI-simulated voters can create artificial consensus. This is demonstrated by the case of Median Strategies, an anonymous fake pollster that fabricated surveys across several U.S. races, including a bogus 23-point lead for Representative Francesca Hong in Wisconsin that forced an apology from Representative James Tallarico. This lack of attribution allows extreme lies to enter the discourse without accountability. A report from Climate Action Against Disinformation shows that during the 2026 European heatwaves and North American wildfires, disinformation narratives escalated into arson conspiracies and violent rhetoric, despite platforms receiving explicit advance warnings. These narratives find traction in specific networks. Analyzing messages from American right-wing extremist Telegram channels, researchers at the Harvard Kennedy School found that climate disinformation spikes during disasters, making up over 9% of the network discourse and being forwarded 40% more often than typical content. Concealing the origin of a message is a technical requirement for injecting fabricated narratives into local discourse. By masking the source, influence networks can deploy extreme rhetoric while avoiding the consequences that would follow from a verified identity. The entities governing these platforms are currently failing to address this synthetic layer, with Meta appearing across multiple areas of concern. Testing by the Brennan Center for Justice found that major AI chatbots refuse to endorse election conspiracies, but they frequently rely on bad sources to reach their conclusions. User behavior further complicates governance. A smartphone experiment in Scientific Reports proved that time constraints actually make false news seem more accurate to users, actively overriding platform warnings and increasing engagement with misinformation. Meta highlights a Science Advances study claiming exposure to untrustworthy media is rare on Facebook and Instagram. However, critics argue the study only measured detected repeat offenders at a tiny dose on a platform that was already being scrubbed, making the results less reassuring than they appear. Platform accountability is hampered by inconsistent reporting. An audit of 353 million Digital Services Act records found major discrepancies in how platforms report their moderation actions, particularly in the data provided by X. Legal pressures in Germany and the EU are also driving economically rational overblocking. According to reports in publicum.net, the threat of legal action makes it cheaper for platforms to simply delete content, rather than invest in transparent review processes. These structural failures have contributed to record-low public trust. The Reuters Institute's digital news report finds that trust in news is at 37%, a low point reached just as social media has overtaken traditional websites as the primary source of news. The same logic applies to the economic layer. Where the content layer hides the speaker, the economic layer hides the checkbook. Analysis from Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington shows that a network of 501c4 nonprofits has already contributed over $33 million to federal super PACs in the 2026 cycle, surpassing the levels seen in previous years. Sludge details how super PACs use nonprofits to hide donor identities, leaving only a thin layer of disclosure. This opacity shapes local governance. In Kansas, dark money and misleading claims are flooding the state ahead of a referendum on judicial selection. This mechanism is visible globally. In France, the Atlas Network's partner think tanks use their funding to shift public debate toward libertarian and far-right themes. In the UK, investment records link the ownership of GB News to an anti-net zero coalition spanning both the US and UK governments. Other transnational flows remain obscured. Reports show the Hungarian government funding ultra-conservative NGOs linked to the group Ordo Juris, while the UK government has withheld files regarding alleged black-core election meddling, citing national security and diplomatic concerns. This infrastructure of economic secrecy provides a mechanism for actors to purchase geopolitical influence while remaining shielded from public accountability. Hidden funding networks contribute directly to institutional corruption. IDL Reporteros has mapped offshore bribery routes used by Odebrecht across Latin America, while the OCCRP reports how Central America's main development bank became a financing channel for authoritarian governments and corrupt projects. The privatization of public systems creates further opportunities for fraud. The UK government is currently suing a firm for over £90 million regarding unusable PPE from a VIP procurement lane. In France, the Cour des Comptes discovered €550 million in fraud within the privatized vehicle registration system. These networks also target specific individuals. A report in the Byline Times, flagged in today's report, details how a Peter Thiel-linked network revived a plagiarism claim targeting Cambridge scholar Jason Arde. The campaign against Arde utilizes a broader tactic of institutional smearing. The investigation draws a direct parallel to the playbook used against Harvard's Claudine Gay. These targeted attacks rely on recycled rhetorical tactics. Author Catherine Stewart argues that Red Scare rhetoric is being used to criminalize dissent, while similar networks drive anti-Muslim demonization in Texas and centralize power within groups like Reform UK. Whether a government-funded NGO or private network, these instances show how hidden funding enables the systematic targeting of institutions and individuals through coordinated campaigns. Concealment is a primary tactic for state and corporate entities, just as it is for digital influence networks. State surveillance relies on similar overreach. In Kansas, police used warrantless license plate reader tracking to retaliate against a journalist. Meanwhile, reporting suggests the DHS used Operation Puppet Master to turn Minneapolis protest participation into a surveillance and infiltration dragnet. A leaked inventory from ICE shows how investigators can use a single person to map a wider surveillance ecosystem. In Australia, the NDIS is building an automated decision system with Palantir-linked data infrastructure, raising concerns about the potential for systemic errors. The corporate AI machine also faces physical constraints. AI chip smuggling continues to circumvent U.S. export controls, leading to calls in Congress for embedded tracking requirements on semiconductors. This physical infrastructure has real-world costs. AI data center growth is meeting community opposition over energy and water consumption. In Wisconsin, the rising electric bills linked to these centers have become a significant issue ahead of the 2026 midterms. Whether the tool is an algorithm, a data center, or a surveillance dragnet, opacity allows those in power to operate without public constraint. The defensive response to these threats is beginning to shift. In the UK, the share of parents reporting their children raising conspiracy theories has jumped to 38% in a year, and international experts now identify large-scale synthetic text as a deeper systemic risk than deepfakes. Researcher Philip DeSalvo argues for a strategic change in defensive tactics. He suggests that open-source investigation must move from documenting events to investigating the infrastructure of information disorder itself. New solutions are emerging. Research from the Royal Society shows that AI-assisted pre-bunking can reduce belief in election rumors. Other methods now focus on flagging attempts to derail online conversations, rather than trying to prove a comment was written by AI. While practitioners at Maldita.es argue that monitoring narratives is more effective than claim-by-claim fact-checking. While professional fact-checking builds trust, it scales poorly. True democratic resilience will likely depend on coordinated psychological defense and long-term trust-building efforts. The reports gathered today illustrate how opacity functions as a pervasive logic across different domains, linking the production of synthetic news to the circulation of dark money and the growth of state surveillance into a significant barrier for democratic verification. As influence networks seamlessly blend dark money and synthetic media, are our democratic institutions equipped to verify not just what is being said, but who is actually saying it? You can find the links to all the source articles for today's report in the video description below.